Great.
This call is being recorded.
I assume it's okay with Jess. She didn't give consent, but I think she says yes usually on these things. Um, yeah, thanks, Jess. Thanks, Jess. So yeah, glad we could get together. So the way we started last time is by everyone introducing themselves, saying why they called in, what a little bit about their story, what they hope to accomplish here. It seems that this is a kind of a core group that's forming, the group that's on this call with, I guess, the substitution of Ms. Zakers' ex-husband previously on the call, and this time Jennifer being on the call. So I'm happy to take some time because I know Jennifer's new. Maybe we can each do a very quick quick version of kind of what we did last time of the introduction and why we decided to reach out and be on this call. And then from there, we'll have a short conversation on some of the tools and strategies that we're hoping to use to locate people and start getting the word out and have a discussion around that. But first, does that work for everyone? Can we do some quick introductions?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Sure.
Okay, great. So Phyllis, why don't you go first, and then we'll hand it over to Sai, and then Jennifer, if you'd like to as well, you'll have the floor afterwards.
Okay. Okay, well, my name is Phyllis Woods, and I am actually searching for somebody I never met, only by phone. His name is Abram Lang, and he was a friend of my daughter's who passed away. It's been about a year now, and he was real close with my grandson's father. And when he committed suicide, Abram did not find out till about 6 months after it happened. And so I didn't want him to find out about Sarah that way. Like I said, I've never met him. I've talked to him on the phone. He was real close with my grandson. So ever since my daughter died, I have kind of been on a mission to find him. I've actually enjoyed the process so far. I have met so many people in so many different organizations, and it's especially the past 2 or 3 weeks through Miracle Messages. In fact, Paul is actually out looking as we speak right now. We've gotten some pretty good solid leads on where he might be located. So actually, I just got a text message from Paul just a few minutes ago saying that he spoke with a couple people, and we're trying to get like the time of day narrowed down. And that's basically, my story. I've been like every day. I've kept in contact with Abram's mom. I've reached out to everybody and anybody on Facebook. I have reached out to a sighting where he was at not too long ago. Is a place in San Francisco, Glide Church. So I reached out to them. I've emailed 3 people of contact they told me to contact. They've been very receptive. Paul's been amazing. He's been out looking at least 3 times this week, and we've pretty much got the area narrowed down. It's just a matter of finding Abram now. And that's pretty much it. Everybody thinks it's kind of strange I'm looking for somebody I never met, but he's a part of my grandson's life. He's a part of my daughter's life. So he's like, I've talked to him on the phone when he was in Nebraska before he came out west. He called me Mama 1.25. We had he's just a part of my life now. So that's my story.
Paul is one of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. He was so moved by your search, and I know he's doing his best, in whatever time he has to see if he can locate Abram.
Like I said, he gave me his cell number. Anytime I've got any shred of evidence, I have forwarded it to him. Like I said, I just got a message from him not even at half an hour ago that he was able to speak with a couple people, and he says Abram seems to be seen around nighttime, around 6 o'clock. And then when I was talking with Abram's mom, she said, and I remember when talking to Abram, when he would have to go panhandle for money, it always seemed to be late morning and early afternoon. So I've just forwarded every shred of evidence. And it was kind of neat last night when I was at my home church here. They actually are involved with a place called Bartlett House. They're in Morgantown, West Virginia. And they go there, and there is, I'm not sure if it's on the West Coast, but there's a thing called Souls for Souls. And it's like they donate shoes and just everything. And the church helps this Bartlett House out. So I'm trying to get involved with that, but it's just they were amazed at my story, and I never really stopped to think that I never met Abram in person, but I've met him, on the phone and such. So it's been an interesting couple of weeks. I think we're getting close.
That's great. Very exciting.
Thank you.
So this is Cy. I think I might be up next. My name's Cy Hughes, and I've been looking for my brother for a good long while now, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 years. And I seem to generally be, a few months behind him when I do locate information on him. And sometimes I am maybe even closer than that. His name is Ronald Grisham. I call him Ronnie. He's one of my younger brothers. He, has had some mental health problems. He had some learning disabilities when we were younger. And I just feel like for him, he has just forgotten how to get home, or, or maybe even as a self-preservation, forgot that he had a home. Because we had a pretty disruptive home life as kids, and so I think for him the most likely situation is he does not remember how to come home, and I just miss him so terribly. But I'm trying to use all the tools I can, and I was really excited that I just happened onto Kevin's organization, and hoping that I can learn some more things. Possibly they can help us, reach out to him. And, and in the meantime, if we help do something to help connect some other families or lost ones, I think that's fabulous.
Do you have a general idea of where he's at? Or where he may be?
The last lead I had on him was in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. He was at a men's shelter there. I made a trip there a couple of weeks ago just to kind of recheck the kind of the old grounds, and of course they, had changed their management and stuff, and were not as open with me. But I kind of planned another trip, trying to, maybe locate a different person to talk to, probably within the next week or so. In the meantime, I searched the internet. We have an old missing persons out of Fort Worth, where he was at the time. I had also, I think that somebody else had mentioned it, but I did a review of, is it called Name Us, for missing people. And I'm going to go ahead, since Tahlequah was the last place that I'm absolutely certain that he was located, because the reason I got that is, we talked about people coming up in the newspaper. He came up in a newspaper article, a fundraiser for the men's shelter in Tahlequah. And his photograph was even in the paper. So I absolutely no question that it was him. And I previously had talked and gone over and visited with the Tahlequah police, who, for their own reasons, probably were not excited about looking for a missing person, because their thought was, just because I think he's missing doesn't mean he wants to be found. But I think I just waited them out, the gentleman that I was working with, who was doing administration work that day. And he, finally kind of came around. We had an opportunity to have a conversation. And he was the one that actually sent me to the men's shelter, which was kind of interesting, because when we tied all the pieces together, he was actually on the board of the men's shelter, or his wife was. And so I think he knew where he was sending me after I was kind of persistent. But I think, in my mind, the right thing to do as one of the many steps right now is maybe open a missing persons report with the police in Tahlequah, because I know the individuals that he last had contact with in Tahlequah at the time he left. Now, I know, I think it was Paul with Kevin, he's one of your volunteers, right, said that usually a missing persons report doesn't really help us that much for, the reasons that Paul stated, which is they really don't have time. It's not a high priority, But I still think that it helps us sort of create a record of where we've known he's been at. And of course, somebody who knows more might guide me better on that, but that's my current thought. And that's all for me.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And Jennifer, would you like to share a little of your story and what brought you here?
Sure. I'm Jennifer Zakers, and I had been living in Tracy, then Oakland, when my husband and I separated, and I relocated to Bakersfield, which is where I was born 2 years ago. But in 2016, my son Mufaro was a student at San Jose State, and he in January or February, he started exhibiting some behavior that was just uncommon for him, and he did go into a hospital for, I think, 72 hours. Anyway, after he came out, he told me, he says, "Oh, Mom, they said I might be bipolar." And I said, "Okay, son, don't be afraid. There's help for that." Well, right after that, he really just started cutting us off, distancing himself, and then started threatening his brothers, through text messages and emails. He has two brothers, and that are one older, one younger. And he eventually, March of 2016, he met with his landlord and the other housemates where he was living, and the landlord allowed them to terminate their lease agreement. So that was the last time he was seen by his housemates. So they contacted me to come move his items out of the home. And when I did, I filed a missing persons report in San Jose. And that was March. In April, after a long roundabout way, I finally reached someone at San Jose Police and found out, well, he was actually located down in Venice Beach. So they told me contact LA County Sheriff's. So when I did, they said, well, yeah, they met him. They said he did not want me to be contacted. He said, "You don't have a good relationship." And I said, "Oh, bless his heart." And they said, "Well, yeah, we weren't sure he was telling the truth," which was not true. We're very close. And that was in April 2016. And then in June, a cousin just felt impressed to go look for him. And two cousins actually, they spent all day in Venice Beach searching. We're getting ready to leave, and they happened to look down a little alley, and there he was. And they called his name, and he came over and talked to them and said, "Well, why are you looking for me?" They told him, that I was looking for him. And so he said he would contact me, but he never did. So he's not been seen since June 1st of 2016. So I don't know if he's still in Venice Beach area. I heard that's the place to be if you're going to be homeless, but, we're just hoping for something, to hear from him. I don't know if I should file another missing persons report, because I thought, well, what if something happens to him? How would they contact, me? So I'm not sure if I should be filing a missing persons report down there, even though they, made contact with him. So if anybody has information on that, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And Do we have another person that joined the 3005 number? Also says Tracy.
This is Henry Zakers.
Oh, hi, Henry.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. And I guess we're talking about the same individual that we're trying to locate. So was there anything else that you wanted to add, Henry? I'm glad you were able to join us as well.
Well, Jennifer said pretty much everything. Me and my son went down there on November 2016 and tried to see if we locate him, but as she said, he's never been seen. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on. Thank you for being on again, Henry, and recruiting Jennifer. I'm grateful that both of you were able to join. Okay. So I have an idea that I'd like to run by everyone. So when I started this work 4 years ago, it was never meant to be this big organization, no vision of how we're going to scale up. It was really just us talking to people on the streets and having conversations, asking a simple question: do you have any family or friends you'd like to reconnect with? As I'm thinking about what I had initially envisioned for our group, it feels disconnected for where things are at now. So where I had envisioned is this would be kind of the ground floor laboratory to help us figure out our grand strategy for how to help all the families that are reaching out to us now, 2 or 3 a day, looking for their loved ones. I don't actually feel like that's the purpose of our group after listening to your stories a second time. I feel that the purpose now is to do whatever we humanly can do to help each of you find your loved one. And that is the purpose. And if we learn from that and if we grow from that, that's terrific. And maybe lessons will abound for others. But I think that's pretty much what we should be focused on at this point. And I have some ideas for how we might do that, but I wanted to just run that by the group, and maybe Jess, if you wanted to share your thoughts. But I just have a strong feeling that I don't want to think more broadly than the 3 people that are missing, that are loved and missed by people on this call.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I'm in.
Okay, so here's I think what we're pretty good at. We've had over 8,000 people sign up to get involved in Miracle Messages. We have this whole backlog of people all across the country. In the communities that you mentioned, we may have to take a look at our network in Oklahoma. I'm not sure how active the network is there or how many people. I'm sure we have a few, but we can probably have at least 1 or 2 people in each of the places that we talked about. And certainly in Venice and San Francisco, we have a lot. I'd love to put together, we've talked a little bit about kind of what's called a BOLO, a Be on the Lookout, and sharing some key information on each of your stories with partner organizations. I'm inclined to say, what does it look like to share, the key information, the photo, the name, the last scene, the description, with some of our volunteers in each community, and maybe sending them flyers or other materials that they might be able to, on their way to work, on the way home, think about, and maybe even post in case they run into one of these individuals. How does that sound and strike everyone?
That sounds like a great
every
idea.
Little bit helps.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just think every little bit helps, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. What have you found to be effective before in that kind of outreach? Like if someone reaches out or it's a family friend and they say, hey, you know what, I'm so sorry about this missing person. I really want to help you locate them. What can I do? What do you usually advise them to do?
In my case, a lot of, like, honestly, 95% of the people I have reached out to, I've never physically met. I've just, for lack of a better word, contact them through Facebook, or if I get their phone number, text messages. I just try not to leave any stone unturned. Like in my case, Abram ran around with a lot of people who like Grateful Dead music. So this past week, with the little tidbits we've been getting, apparently there is a show at the Warfield in San Francisco. So somebody who Abram is friends with is going to the show. So I sent her the picture of the dog, his flyer, and the picture from the newspaper article that he was featured. I've just been feeding anybody who's willing to take the information. I've just been feeding them the information. I've sent Paul such minute little things. He's probably tired of me, but I mean, he's really saying it's helpful because it's been able to narrow stuff down. So I just think the outreach and the worst something somebody could say is, I don't want to help, or something like that, but just keep getting me anything. Just get the word out there.
And what is it, just as a follow-up, what is it that you have found helpful to send? You said the newspaper article photo,
the newspaper article, and then when his mom opened up the missing persons report, but there's an organization called NorCal Alliance that I think I didn't contact, but somebody else did. They had created a poster, so I've just been sending them a screenshot of that, and by all indications he still has his dog with him, which we think is huge. And I've just been like, just pictures, and that's been the most, and just networking with people, and in my situation, that's been the most helpful, is just to get the word out there.
Sure, that makes sense. Anyone else want to share what they do when someone says, hey, can I help? What you send them and what's helpful?
This is Sai, and my experience is really kind of opposite in that I've had the best luck when I go in person, and I know this isn't always possible, but a few years before I found good indication that Ronnie had been in Tahlequah, I found several pieces of information that indicated he was still in the Fort Worth, Tarrant County area, and I just made a long list of every trail that I could find, and a lot of that I did over the internet. But I actually went to either the shelters or the addresses, and I just canvassed kind of an old-fashioned way. I knocked on doors. One of the things I was trying to do is make sure the lead I was following was for my brother. And it just so happens, he's not very tall. He's around 5 foot, so he's not going to be mixed up with other guys that you might be looking for, because he's not even average height. So I probably have been to 8 or 9 places in Tarrant County, Fort Worth, knocking on doors, talking to people. I made some progress there. Again, I was just still a few months behind. I did the same thing when I went down to Tahlequah, and again, I already stated I intend to go back. And for me, I think the leads, come up, but when I go knock on doors and I talk to people, I'm able to find people that knew him. I just have to find the one that knew where he was headed next. And so, I think all the things work: internet, phone. If you're able to find somebody that can go in person, even if it's not you, I think all those things help. But that's what's helped me get close to him. But I just haven't, gotten the magic bullet yet. So just all the tools. And then I'm hoping that your organization can help us, either because you have the ability to disseminate information to partner groups that we don't know about, and maybe broaden our reach, and or, introduce us to new tools that we don't know about. That's my hope anyway. And I think like you, Kevin, I think that there's a reason that I happened onto your organization, and whether it just helps me find my brother or helps me help someone else make the connection, I think that's a part of the whole thing. That's it for me.
Well, this is Jennifer, and I would have to say Facebook, Robin, who's been looking for her mother, Claudia Wells, she definitely posted Mufaro's missing flyer on her website. And then as far as an individual mentioning, as far as looking for him, was that cousin who actually it was really divine intervention. She was just awakened one night as if somebody, God speaking to her, get up and go find him. So when she told me that, well, I just, supplied her, with some gas money. And then since then, I have other relatives that go to that area periodically, and they just look on, on their own. But other than that, as far as any word getting out, I guess it's been through that Facebook post.
That's really helpful. And do we have a new person join at 3121 in New York?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
What is your name?
I'm Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, everyone.
And
Hi.
Kathy, we had just taken a moment before, I think before you joined, to just kind of do brief introductions and share a little bit about what brought you here today. So would you like to take a moment to do the same?
If you let me talk, I'll be talking the whole time. But just as brief as I can make it. I'm looking for my brother. My brother is he's not a young kid. He's 63. He was a convicted felon. He was drunk, and he drove his car, which is not his car, without a license, and he killed somebody. So he spent many years in jail. He gets out, and he is in this halfway house, and his drug of choice is alcohol. So of course he's very slick, and nobody else is as smart as them. And he tried to bring alcohol into where the place he was living, which was called Orion House in Van Nuys. And he had done several other things which I'm not even privy to. And they had to ask him to leave because they kept giving him chances. So in the meantime, we had a fight on the phone on October 21st. He hung up on me. I tried calling him back, couldn't get him. The next day, my father passes away. So now it occurred to me to go looking for him, but I tried to get off in December into January, but that wasn't working. So I just went out there with my boyfriend, and we spent 5 days in Van Nuys. I don't know nothing about nothing, looking for people, and I went out looking for him with my boyfriend, and we put up posters. And one of them, what I think helps in the general sense, to do something a little different, because I had a picture of him now, and I also had a picture of him from years ago. So the years ago one was my original one because I didn't know that I could get a newer picture, and it was in color. So it's like red, looking for this person, blah, 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 red, black, and white, and a little bit of blue. So that combined with the other picture makes people stop, because like when you just see one paper, you kind of go past it, But when you see two, it's like, whoa, what's this? Because I saw a guy stop and then walk back and look at it. And, so I think I did probably what everybody else has done. I went to Van Nuys. We went to the libraries. We went to the Y, stopped at men's shelters, other places that offer them shelter. And, the police, and talking to people in the tent cities and all that. Passing around the pictures. 2 people actually took a picture on their phone of my brother's picture. So that's where I'm at, and I'm very happy to meet everyone
nice
indirectly.
To meet you.
And and this is good because I'm not on Facebook. I never even thought of Facebook, but now that that was brought up. That's my next step.
Good luck, Kathy.
Thank you. Yeah, because I'm not a big Facebook person because I have not that like I have such a high risk job. I don't, but I just get nervous of people what they do, with posts and things. So I try to stay away from that. But I am going to jump in on that now. Oh, and by the way, I live here in New York. I'm not a California girl. So the one last thing I will mention, I did make a call to the morgue yesterday, but thank God I didn't get a call back. And I started, I just wrote a letter to some group in Santa Monica, because I don't really know where Santa Monica is in relationship to Van Nuys, but I explained to him in the letter that I did all of what I did. I don't know if it's enough because I don't know the area. I did what I could do in the 3 or 4 days we were there. And now I'm reaching out into other areas, sending his picture and things and hoping that somebody saw him or knows or can help.
Kevin? I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is Jennifer again. The young lady who was speaking, I was wondering, well, first of all, I want to tell you about the Facebook group. It's called Missing and Homeless. Okay. And I know they'll post your flyer. And then as far as the group in Santa Monica, are you able to share that name with me? And I do know that is right next to Venice Beach, where my son was last seen, which is a little east of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. See, I just looked it up on the internet, looking for homeless shelters and things, and all kinds of stuff comes up. But it's called Ocean Park Community Center. Okay,
great. Thank you. I have seen that name. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of things that I print up, but some of them it says families and adolescents and different things, but I am still going to send the picture because, you never know who it is that you're going to bump into.
Yes. Well, be sure to look at that Missing and Homeless Facebook page.
Oh, no, I absolutely will. And also, there's one other thing for the Van Nuys area. This may be something that you could do in every area, but there's a council person. Her name is Noreen Martinez. Apparently, I don't know the correct wording of this, but I'm going to just put it out from what I can figure out, is that they have a coalition that goes out to the homeless people, and they know where they hang out, and they know where they are, and they know who they are. And I guess they must hand out food and drinks and keep track of them and try to encourage them to, seek shelter, get a job, do whatever they got to do. So that was another thing, if, in your areas, to reach out to the government or the council. She's a councilwoman in the 6th district.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what else did I miss while I wasn't on the phone?
Kathy, this is Ty. We were just doing a short introduction of our story. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think that was about it.
Yeah, that was an introduction and a half.
Yeah. I actually wanted to ask a question for you, Cy. I know that we have one volunteer who is pretty involved with us, who's in Afton, Oklahoma, who works with the Tulsa Nightlight. And I'm happy to reach out to him and see if he can maybe put the word out, because that's a homeless resource in Tulsa.
Okay. Do you know his name, or you can give it? You can pass either my phone number or my email address, either one. Oklahoma's not that big, and again, another reason why I am able to drive, any place, that we think we might locate him. I've gone to Texas. I'm in the position. I'm like Kathy. We're not young anymore. My brother's in his 60s, but I would go wherever we think we have a good lead on him. But so I would be glad to work with, if you have an existing volunteer. I'd even be glad to try to help as a volunteer for others if we, know somebody that's in the area. But, I'm kind of like maybe Kathy. I'm not that active on the internet myself, but I can learn, which is kind of an odd thing because I was really a tech worker, but I retired quite a few years ago. So, again, I would appreciate it. And was that Jess that said that?
I'll give Roy a call and just see if he's willing to undertake this. And then if he is, I will connect him with you. And let's see if we can take it from there on Oklahoma. Okay. And I think, we have contacts in Los Angeles, Southern California, but Oklahoma, I actually think we have a promising lead. So let me follow up on that one.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I just got an update from Paul as we were on this last call, and I'll just share. He said that he left more cards and that he might go out again tomorrow night and look, but it was raining on and off today. He did say he spoke to a hotel doorman on Palm Market, and Abram was seen a couple days ago in the evening. He gave him my card. He said, now we just need some luck.
Wow.
How awesome. That is
amazing.
Awesome. 2 days.
I can't wait to see his mom.
Great.
That's amazing.
It is.
Terrific. Well, that's a wonderful bit of news. And I have a couple of flyers that we've put together, and I'd like to share kind of the outline and get your feedback on those. But how do these calls work? Like, I think doing this every couple of weeks, is that a pretty good rhythm for everyone? It sounds like we have a pretty good support community, and we're brainstorming. Does that work generally?
Yeah,
for me, I think
it
does. Yeah, it's shy.
For me also.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's great.
Great. Well, we have a core little group building here, and I love it. So I'm going to click share screen. So if you see share your screen, I'm sharing it right now. You should be able to accept that, and then you'll see my screen. Let me know if you have any trouble with that.
Matt, if you dialed in on the phone number?
You won't be able to see it, but I can send you the images that we're talking about afterwards.
Okay.
Let me see if I keep this on speaker. Let me see if I can go in the other way as well.
Okay. Is anyone else able to see the screen?
No. Is this supposed to be like a video call?
It's through the app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm unaware of the app. What app is that?
Okay, yeah, it's the Uber conference app is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. All I see is like everybody's like where they're calling from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not working for me either, Kevin.
Okay, all right. We can scratch that for now. What I'll do is I'm going to send out the templates for the flyers, and I'm sure you guys have created flyers already for your cases. I just clicked the wrong one. So I'd love your feedback on the flyers.
Do you have a network of people like all across the country you work with?
We have a network of people who've reached out wanting to help with miracle messages. So we can follow up with them and say, hey, we'd love your help in this way. We don't have partners all across the country quite yet, though.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, if you want to put me down, I can cut. I mean, I'm like in the southwest corner of PA, but I'm real close to Morgantown, which is where the Bartlett House, which is who the church I belong to, they go there every week and cut hair and provide food and cook meals. I would definitely, if you would consider me to be like if you ever have anything in this area, I'd be more than happy to do what I can.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That could be like a good pairing program, right? Like if someone reaches out about their loved one and we have another person looking for a loved one in whatever town, we could kind of pair you together and see if you can do something locally. How would that be?
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, like a liaison. That's great.
Like a liaison. Well, this is an idea that just came out, and I'd say let's run with it. So I actually just started out. Let me look up where are each of you based? I'm sorry, Phyllis, you had just said, what was the name of the town that you're nearby?
I'm actually in southwestern Pennsylvania in Greene County. I live in a little old coal mining town, one way in, one way out. But like Morgantown, West Virginia is like literally 20 minutes from me. So I mean, I can get. I mean, and that's where the Bartlett House is, where the church that I go to. That's who they help out with, and they have 25 apartments. I just found out, like upstairs, and then they have other individuals downstairs. So it's a fairly big building. So I mean, at least I could have a contact there. You know, if they take on singles, families, everything. So I mean, I could cover like Morgantown, West Virginia. But if you look up Greene County, Pennsylvania, you can kind of see. I'm just like in the bottom right left-hand corner of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so we have we'll just put Morgantown, West Virginia. And what were the other locations where everyone's based?
This is fine. I'm in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. So let me write this down. So Morgantown is Phyllis. Cy is Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Huh?
Jennifer is Bakersfield, California.
Jennifer, Bakersfield, California. Okay. Kathy.
Yes, I'm in Seaford, New York, which is the middle of mid Long Island. But I also work in Manhattan, so and I travel all the boroughs with my job, so I can help with that.
Okay, and then Jennifer's Bakersfield. Then Henry.
Henry, Stockton, California.
Stockton, California. Okay, I'm gonna, while we're talking, I'll just do a quick search to see. We have Kevin, one person that's. Yep.
Kevin, can I add too that Jen that was on the call last week, she couldn't be here. She actually works with a lot of different people that have addiction issues, and I think like the homeless people and stuff. I could touch base with her. She might even be a point of contact. She's up in Delaware, I believe, up in that area, but she travels to like a lot of different areas on the weekend and stuff, so she might be a point of contact also. I can check with her.
Okay, great. Let's see. So I'm going to mention we'll take a moment to go through these towns and just see how close that is. And if it's a far thing, then it's okay. But I have Bronx, New York. I have Astoria, Queens, which is also New York. Bronx, another New York. I have Brooklyn, New York. Carmel, New York. A lot of New York ones. Wow. Let's see. I have Bakersfield, foster care. Last known location, foster care in Bakersfield. So that would be one. Fullerton, California. I have Hamilton, Texas. Let's see. A lot of Los Angeles. I have Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
You might want to spell it because I'm not sure you're.
Tahlequah.
That's Tahlequah. That's the same place I've been looking for Ronnie. It's a Indian name.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all kind of funny, but yeah, it's Tahlequah.
Okay, but that's where you're based as well right now.
Well, I'm in Oklahoma City. Tahlequah's about 3 hours to the east, but that's okay. I mean, if it's not Ronnie, if we're looking for somebody else, I'll be glad to help.
I have someone that they're looking for in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I have one.
Want to tell me about it? You want to send it to me?
I will send it on email. Yeah. Okay. Oklahoma City. A lot of San Francisco. that seems to be it. So it looks like a couple New Yorks, a lot of San Franciscos, and then the Oklahoma City one.
And Kevin, this is Sai. I wanted to mention something to you because I know you had mentioned this in the earlier call, that because of some of the issues that we see on our southern border, this is one of the things that kind of helped guide you this way. I'm actively working on recruiting family that live in South Texas, and they also speak Spanish. I don't happen to speak Spanish, but in Victoria, Texas, which is kind of directly between Houston and San Antonio. But I do have a couple of younger nieces that live and work there, and one of my niece's husband family is fluent in Spanish, so I've recruited her to start helping me. Usually she asks me about Ronnie, but I've talked to them, and they've agreed to kind of start actively helping me look for Ronnie. But I think they potentially could be a source for us if we needed to look for somebody else in South Texas, and if we needed a Spanish speaker. That's kind of my thought there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Really good to know. Okay, so I'm gonna, if everyone gives me permission for this, I'm going to send an email so that we all have each other's email address and we can kind of communicate as a small group. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then Abram Lang, there was Jennifer was the other person that was not on the call, right? So I'll make sure she's on.
Yeah.
Do you have an email address for Jennifer?
I can get it for you. I'm actually kind of messaging her right now. Let me get that for you.
Okay, great. So in terms of next steps, and I want to just be cognizant of everyone's time, so we'll close out here in the next 5 minutes and then make sure we save time to schedule our next conversation. So one thing that we can do is we'll send out the 3 versions of the flyer that exist right now. Would love your feedback on which one you like the best, what's missing, whether it's too complicated, what can be changed. So I'll send that around. Once we are signed off on the flyer, and Jess and I can start sending around the flyer and to be on the lookouts to people who are in that community where that person is missing in our volunteer network, and encourage people to share it, if they want to download and post the flyer, or to at least be aware. And as we start building out partner organizations in these communities, we can share that with them as well. And this could be a good opportunity to do that. Beyond that, we're developing this web app, which will be a directory of people who are homeless looking for their loved ones, or family members looking for their homeless relatives. And so we will include all of your cases in that directory, which will be searchable. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, I think this is such an inspiring conversation. I'd be tempted to try to share the audio of all our calls, maybe on social media, and maybe next time we can even invite people to participate and ask questions about how they can be helpful. Since we have about 20,000 people on our Facebook page, it may be worthwhile as a leverage point. Does anyone have any objections to that if I posted the audio from this call and then next time tried to make it a little more public so anyone could join from social media if they wanted to help?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Does anyone, being that this is like going from going warp speed here, I'm very excited. Does anyone know anyone that would be able to do this on television? Like maybe contact, like when you get more, like all your data together and, your stories and everything and everybody's in agreement, maybe contact the news, like a news station.
Great idea.
I've never seen anyone, remember, I don't know if you remember, because I don't know how old everyone is, but they used to do the pictures on the milk cartons, which they stopped. I don't know why. Because I'm thinking about even taking out a billboard if I could figure out where my brother could be, because I don't know where the heck he is.
Wow, I love it. In fact, I think you just gave a name for this whole thing. Why don't we call it Hashtag digital milk cartons.
Good.
That's a good one.
That's a good idea. For older people,
but
some younger people may not know what that means, Kevin. You're giving away our age here. Maybe
it's
not
okay.
yours. Certainly mine and Kathy's.
Well, in this day and age,
cartons.
they'll be sure to look it up.
Yeah, they'll be curious. Like, what are you talking about?
That's what it was
Kevin,
called, like people on the milk cartons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, I just emailed you Jen's email address.
Great. I'll add her to the group.
And Kevin, this is Cy, and I had a thought about people that are just starting this adventure, if you will. I think one of the hard things for me when I first started, before I started knocking on doors, was where to look, and maybe that's a tool that you guys already have more refined than I might have in my head about preliminary steps. Again, about, talk a little bit about, do we make a missing persons report? And if we do, how do we decide what location, or do we do multiple locations? That online website about Name Us for those that have been located, but something terrible's happened to them and they've not been able to identify them. That about shelters, other kind of I guess I'm thinking like a checklist of preliminary things as we start our search. Maybe putting together biographical information about our loved one that is missing, current picture, last known location, that kind of thing. And I don't know if you guys already have something like that would help us. I know you guys typically work in the backwards direction than what we're looking for, but anyway, that's a thought.
Would you want to take the lead on trying to put something together of what you found helpful? And then what I could do is, if you share that with me ahead of this call, the next call, I can share it with everyone, and then they can start adding their thoughts and resources too, to kind of make it crowdsourced.
Sure, no problem. I'll add kind of my preliminary thoughts, and then I think I do think, because like this, somebody mentioned this Facebook page for missing and homeless. I didn't have any idea that was out there. So yep. I think you're right. By crowdsourcing it, we may really come up with something that none of us have even thought of yet. And with using you as kind of our hub to guide us, I think we could probably do great things. I hope. So I'll work on something.
Great. Okay, and let's align on next call times, because I want to make sure we keep the momentum. Let's see. If we look a couple weeks out, how does Friday, March 1st at 3 o'clock look for everyone on Pacific time?
Great.
Good for me.
Pacific. So what time would that be in New York?
That'd be 6 o'clock New York time.
Oh, yeah, I'm okay with that.
You said 3 Pacific time, I'm sorry?
3 Pacific time, 6 o'clock New York time.
And maybe that's a good omen. That's my brother's birthday.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. Ronnie's birthday, yeah.
That's good.
Did you say March 1st? Excuse me.
Yes.
March 1st, Friday.
Oh,
so we'll do this every 2 weeks. 3 p.m. on Fridays, Pacific time. Every couple weeks is kind of the cadence right now.
Very good.
Right.
Okay, so I've just invited all of you to that via Google Calendar. It's the same call-in information that you accessed this time. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm going to do a follow-up. Two follow-ups. So let me make a note here. So here's my homework to do. My homework is to email everyone, which is about 150 people at this time, at this point, who have reached out saying they want to have help finding a missing loved one, and then just kind of give a recap of the call. I'm also going to email this group as a small group with the addition of Jennifer, because she was here last week and was part of the group, so that we're all on a call, and we'll call it Milk Carton Team 1. And then I'm going to share the audio of this call on social media. Jess and I together can once we get feedback from you on the flyers, and which will be attached in the email, we'll start putting together some of your stories so that we at least have the first one or two ready to go and start sharing it out with volunteers and partners before our next call. We're working on the web app directory, so we'll give you access to that once it's live. And then I like the idea of just thinking about local news outlets. We probably won't get to that right now, but that will be in the back of our minds. And then I will send out an email with all of your names and locations, so we just keep that front and center. And then for the person that's in Oklahoma City, I'm going to send you the information there. Does that all work?
Great.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right. In the last minute, is there anything else, Jess, that we'd want to cover?
Oh, I just wanted to tell Cy that I sent a message to Roy in Oklahoma, so I'm waiting to hear back from him, and then if it sounds like a good idea, I'll connect you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jess.
Great. Okay. Final thoughts?
Are you still
I
running
appreciate
the little video stories
Yes.
or no?
Thank you for bringing that up. So I would love that. I don't think anyone has sent me a video. Has anyone from this call sent a video in?
No,
I
just tried. But I have tried to make one, and I can't do it without trying.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my experience. I asked a lot of people, and no one said yes. So if you want to send it, I'd love to include it on social media and when we share about your case. But I'm de-emphasizing that because no one followed up and sent me a video. So
My son promised us some, but I guess he didn't.
yes. So double check. I mean, it's possible that he did, and it may have missed my inbox. So don't discipline him quite yet. Blame it on me first. But yeah, if you want to send a video, please send it in. But if no one sends it between now and next time, I'm gonna kind of put that on the back burner because I think we have a lot of other exciting ideas to run with.
We're going to find them. They're going to be shocked.
Yeah.
I'm excited to. Jess and I, we can't make any promises in this, and we don't want to raise people's hopes or expectations. But I hope you see we're trying to do the best we can to find a way to help these individuals on the call that you're missing, as well as other families that may be missing people all across the country. So we're going to do the best we can by your cases.
I know that.
Very, very appreciated.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk on March 1st at 3 p.m. Pacific time.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a blessed evening.
Bye, all.
Bye-bye,
care.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.